The Northmen tell of a great hero. His name is Sigmund. His father's hall was built around a great tree, and one day Odin comes and thrusts a sword into the tree, a gift to whomever can release it. Many try, but the sword only comes out at Sigmund's touch. His brother-in-law, King Siggeir, wants it, but Sigmund refuses him, so King Siggeir plots revenge. He invites Sigmund and his brothers to a feast, but when they arrive, they are met with an army, not a warm welcome. King Siggeir captures Sigmund and his brothers, steals his coveted sword, and readies them for execution. Death for Sigmund and his brothers seems certain. But the king's wife is Sigmund's sister, and she begs for mercy and implores the king to chain them up instead. He agrees. Not for mercy, though, but because he plans an even more cruel and lingering death. Chained to a tree in the forest that night, a she-wolf comes and devours one of Sigmund's brothers. She returns, ravenous, night after night, until only Sigmund is left. The next day, Sigmund's sister sends a servant with honey to smear on Sigmund's face. But to what end? Well, that night, when the she-wolf appears again, you'll never guess what happens. As the she-wolf licks the sweet honey from Sigmund's face, he bites the wolf's tongue. The she-wolf pulls away, but Sigmund holds on. The chains break, and he is free. After his escape, Sigmund lives like us, hidden in the forest. His enemy, King Siggeir, believing him dead, as his sister plots revenge. And for vengeance to succeed, even the great Sigmund needs help. So she sends her sons to him. But their blood is weak and corrupted, and they're put to death by Sigmund. So his sister hatches a new plan, one that is cold of heart and pure of blood.
her own secret dance, wishing those fleeting moments of light would stretch out to last forever.
Sigmund's sister trades shapes with a sorceress, and in disguise, she lies with her own brother. She gives birth to a son named Sinfjotli. After a time, she sends him to the forest to Sigmund. He tests the boy and finds him strong and fearless, and so they go to take their vengeance on King Siggeir. But luck is not on their side. They're captured, and Siggeir has them buried alive.
He so effortlessly caught the world in bliss. If only she could do the same. See the world through eyes anew and dance with it, just like he does.
What's your name?
Senua.
I haven't seen you before.
I don't leave home much.
Oh, Zenua'S daughter.
I have to go.
Wait. Who taught you to fight like that?
No one.
No one?
Well, I watched you, and...
You learned all of that from watching me? You should become a warrior, you know.
Me?
I'm Dillian. I'm here for the warrior trials. Just come and watch. And bring your sword.
You can't put it into words. That moment when you look into the eyes of the one who's supposed to reassure you, make you feel safe. It only takes an instant. Fear swallows you before you have a chance to make sense of it. And darkness becomes a part of who you are. You killed him. But her world changed the day the Northmen took him from her. Senua knows that there's no going back to how things were. That there's nothing to go back to at all. Stay still, stay quiet, hide, don't tell her.
Their gods can see into your mind. They will use this power to destroy you.
They won't stop me. I can still feel it.
Whatever's left of him, they will never let him go.
I'm not gonna let him rot here!
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No!
And all your suffering will have been for nothing!
Shut up! Dillian? Is that you? I'll find you, my love. I promise.
Can you see him? You won't believe it. Is he not real? Is he there? You're alone in these mountains. Is that Dillian? Nothing lives here. You won't survive. You met him by the tree. She met him by the tree. Maybe it's a sign, the tree. What's he trying to tell you? He's waiting for you by the tree.
As Sigmund and Sinfjotli are being buried alive, Sigmund's sister throws an armful of straw into the grave mound. Hidden in the straw is Sigmund's sword, the gift of Odin. They cut their way out of the grave mound and set fire to Siggeir's hall. The king burns to death. Sigmund calls to his sister to come out so that she may live and be honored. She does come out, but only to tell him the truth. That she had slept with him, her brother, to beget a strong avenger. I am not fit to live, she says, and walks back into the fire. Strike vengeance from your heart, Senua, as there is always a heavy price to pay. And here is the end of Sigmund's story. He was a fierce and great warrior who fought many battles. But one day, an old man came onto the battlefield. Although shadowed by a hood, Sigmund saw that he only had one eye. The man raised his spear, and Sigmund struck at it with his sword, but the sword shattered into pieces. Sigmund then knew that this was Odin, and thus that victory could not be his. He bowed his head and accepted his end. Dying, he tells his wife that she is with child, and that her son will one day make a great weapon out of the fragments of his sword. The sword named Gram. legion. A sword that can slay gods. Its name is Gramr. It was forged by the god of all Northmen, Odin, and gifted to Sigmund, a great warrior.
I need this sword. It's important. Can you help me?
The sword appears whole, but it is an illusion. It shattered into shards long ago. It is said the great warrior can reforge Gramr by answering the trials of Odin, one for each shard. The roots of the Tree of Death will take you to new lands where you will face the trials.
Go to the shard. Go to the shard. What's the shard? Find it.
It's the metal runestones.
It's in front of you. Find it. The metal. The runes.
You need that sword.
Go to the shard.
Find the shards. Where is it? Find it.
There it is.
Focus.
There's the shard. Focus. Look.
As Sigmund and Sinfjotli are being buried alive, Sigmund's sister throws an armful of straw into the grave mound. Hidden in the straw is Sigmund's sword, the gift of Odin. They cut their way out of the grave mound and set fire to Siggeir's hall. The king burns to death. Sigmund, I want to tell you a story about a god of the Northmen called Baldur. The second son of Odin, he was beautiful, good, and wise. He was fair of feature, he spoke fair words, he gave fair judgments. Light shone from him. Only good things were told of him. Yet he was the first of the gods to die.
But the bridge is broken.
There's no way you can fix it.
What do you do now?
His face. What is it?
It doesn't see.
Get closer.
You need to see what the mask sees.
Stay back. Don't touch.
Where are we?
What is this?
It's the same. It's another world. It's lighter.
That's nicer. I like it here. Can we stay? Let's stay here. I like the way it's safe here.
The bridge.
It's not broken.
It's fixed.
What happened?
The bridge is fixed.
Let's cross it.
The Northmen tell this story about the death of Baldur. It begins with dark dreams. Night after night, Baldur dreams of his own death, and the gods fear for his life. So Baldur's mother makes everything in the world: fire, water, iron, stone, earth, wood, beasts, birds, serpents, poison, sickness. Swear an oath not to harm her son. One by one, they each make their vow. Neither weapons nor wood will injure him. Baldur's mother boasts. Only Loki, father of Hela, the mistress of death, is not amused.
Dillian, we're here. Dillian, we're nearly here. Go through it. It's dangerous. Follow it. What's behind the gate? Where will it take you? It's not safe. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. You're cursed. Curse. Now the darkness is swallowing you both. You have blood on your hands. You are guilty. Was it worth it? Dillian. There he is. There he is. What are you waiting for? Quick, find a way. Find him. Go through before he disappears. Dillian, don't leave. Where is he? Where's he gone? We're in the wrong world. He's not here. She's in the wrong world. He's not in this world. He's in the other one. He's in the other one. He's in the dark world. The dark world.
The world once seemed so simple. Black and white. Darkness and light. Narrow dividing lines of our own making. Dillian taught her to see further. To peek through the cracks and see the worlds of color stretching away from the gloom. And Senua explored new paths into the unknown.
The gods feast and rejoice and amuse themselves by throwing spears and stones at Baldur, striking at him with sword and axe. But he comes to no harm, whatever they do. The gods never cease to wonder at this great marvel. But Loki shapes himself into a woman and asks Baldur's mother, "Is it really true that all things promise to keep him safe?"
Not in this world.
"I did not ask the mistletoe," Baldur's mother confesses. "I thought it was too young." Oh dear.
Do you remember meeting him beneath the tree? led you astray.
You should have listened to your father when you had the chance.
Why didn't you listen to him?
This love has tortured you,
And it tortures me.
Nobody will love her now.
Can you remember what love feels like?
Look what happens to the things she loves.
She destroys them. Believe in you.
Dillian undoes the curse.
What does it feel like to feel a love so strong? He didn't believe that she was cursed.
He saved you when everyone else turned their backs. Open the gate.
She can't.
Open the gate.
It's locked.
Try harder.
She can't. The gate. She can't. She can't. She will. She'll find a way. She always finds a way. He cared in a way that nobody else did. Do you remember what it was to touch him?
You had that loved her.
You squashed it, strangled him, flattened it.
The curse cannot be undone. She should have listened to her father.
Why didn't she listen to him?
She thought she could define him. Look what happens to the things you love. Look what happens to the things you love.
What does it feel like to be in love? Dillian saved her.
You owe your life to Dillian.
You owe everything to him. What?
Why isn't he here?
He's gone.
He's in the dark world.
He's gone to the dark world.
You're in the wrong world.
He's in the other world.
The dark world.
Without, do you remember what it was to touch him?
Your curse is played.
Everything gets broken in the end.
You killed him with your love because he believed in you.
There he is.
Where are you taking him?
He's up there. He's up there.
How do you get up there?
There's a way. There is a way up there.
Find the way.
She can do it. You're nearly there. She can find the way.
Loki makes a dart out of mistletoe and goes to the gods as they throw things at Balder. The blind god, Huth, was there. Loki asks him why he wasn't taking part. Huth says, I cannot see where Balder stands, and even if I could see him, I have no weapon. Loki replies, here is a wand. I will tell you where he stands. And Huth throws the mistletoe at Balder. It pierces through him, and to everyone's horror, Balder is killed.
Most precious to you.
And for this, Huth is slain.
She thought she knew best.
She thought she had light within her when she has only been.
She is pure darkness.
You are guilty. Was it worth it?
Curse strangled, just like it strangled him. He's the reason she's alive at all. Do you know? Was it worth it?
You're still alive and Dillian's dead. Does it deserve to be dead?
Does that make you feel? You have no chance for love now.
Nobody will love you again.
Ever again.
You killed
The Northmen tell how the gods mourned Balder. His body was to be burnt on his ship, but they could not manage to push it into the sea and sent for a giantess to do it. She comes riding a wolf and has vipers for her reins. She pushes Balder's ship into the sea with such force that the ground shakes and the rollers burst into flames. When Balder's wife sees his body carried onto the ship, her heart bursts with grief, and she dies. She's put next to her husband, and the pyre is lit, sending the dead to hell. But even so, the gods cannot accept his
Curse
death.
has claimed Dillian.
Poor Dillian. He didn't know. He was kind. He believed you.
Years had passed since she left her father. She trained hard alongside her friend, Dillian. She saw things shadow of darkness never let her go, and she was caught between two worlds. That of Zinbel and her past, and Dillian, her future. Two realities tearing at her soul.
What didn't she do? She could have wasting your time. You have no time for this. Speed up. These rules mean nothing. It's all part of their games. They've set you trials to distract you. Your girls set you up, and now they're going to watch you fall. What if these trials mean nothing? It's laughing at you. What if they take you no closer to Dillian? That was Dillian, and you're letting this get in the way. What if they are just to tire you out, to make you weak before the battle? Could she trust him? Do you remember what love feels like? What if they're all about wasting your time, just delaying minute by minute by she's alive at all? What does she think she's doing? You're special. She thinks she can rule.
They mean nothing.
Being special. Waste of time. Could all be a waste of her time.
What if the gods are just toying,
Playing,
What if the gods are laughing at her?
messing with her. It wouldn't be this. Be the first time. Do you even remember?
His love is kind. Dillian's in the tower.
He's there.
Dillian didn't believe in the curse. Dillian believed in you.
Overcome with grief, the gods send Hermod to ride to Hell and ask Hela to let Balder return home. All the gods are weeping, he says. Are they? Asks Hela. We shall see if he is truly missed. If everything in the world will weep for him, he shall go back to the gods. But if even one thing refuses, Balder stays with me. The gods send messengers everywhere. Weep for Balder, weep him out of Hell. And everything wept. Men, beasts, earth, stone, trees, metal, everything. Except for a giantess they find in a cave. Balder was never my friend, she says. Let Hel keep what she has. The Northmen say that the giantess must have been Loki in disguise.
Dillian saved you from them.
Dillian saved you.
Dillian cared for her like no one else has.
Dillian's the only reason she's still alive.
Do you know? Was it worth it?
You're still alive and Dillian's dead.
He doesn't deserve to be dead. How does that make you feel? He saw who she could be. He saw who she really was. He saw the warrior within. What if this is pointless?
What are you doing? Why did you think you
The Northmen tell how the gods punished Loki for Baldur's death. They captured him and took him to a cave. They fetched his 2 sons and turned one into a wolf, and he ripped his brother apart. The gods used Loki's own son's entrails to tie him down and turned these bonds to iron and dangled a poisonous serpent over his face so that its venom would drip onto him. Each time the venom drips onto Loki's face, he writhes in agony. The Northmen say that is the cause of earthquakes. A reminder, perhaps, that if even gods must accept death, then so must we.
Do you remember the way he looked?